what is God's issue with penguins? I mean, he spends all this time praising the birds of the sky, so much that he even confuses a bat with a bird. But you look at every story from creation to Revelations, and not a single one mentions any type of flightless bird. All they mention are the flappy bastards that were around in the Middle East, you know. That's another thing. We get no mention of any species like, you know, kangaroos. All the Bible ever talks about are species that the men in the Middle East had access to or knowledge of, for example, from travellers coming from Africa and places like that. It's kind of curious, you know, that fact. It makes it seem as if the people writing the Bible were restricted by the knowledge that the people at the time had on the animal kingdom. Greetings and welcome people to YouTube. This is Essence of 40, and of course this is the 6th episode of my God of Wonders series. Of course it's on birds, so let's get straight down to it and go.
Birds are among the most captivating creatures on Earth. We marvel at their spectacular colors, their streamlined shapes, and their ability to fly with grace and ease.
And then there's the fact that they are living, breathing modern dinosaurs. I mean, how awesome is that? You can have a bloody dinosaur inside your living room.
For centuries, man attempted to imitate the flight of a bird. It was only in the 20th century that he succeeded in controlled flight. To this day, in order to improve the aerodynamics of the plane, man will return to study God's marvelous avian design.
Well, yeah, we look at nature a lot for efficiency, etc., because if you didn't realise the whole evolutionary process requires a species to survive, therefore designs are a matter of life and death. If you've got a bad design that isn't very efficient, you're going to die. Therefore, given the billions of years that evolution has had time to take place, the designs have become pretty refined. You know, we don't just use birds, we also use sharks, especially in more modern jet fighters, because, you know, they're going for speed rather than efficiency. Because if they had the large, elongated wings like a bird, that would just, with the speeds that they go at, that would just risk structural integrity and risk, you know, the life of the pilot. So we look at multiple different places. On top of this, we also have, you know, digital modelling. We also have the wind chambers where we pass, you know, smoke, etc. over models just to test how aerodynamic something is. But when it comes down to it, we don't use the same methods of propulsion as birds do, you know. We don't use attached limbs or wings that, like, move up and down as a bird. Instead, we go for propellers, we go for jets. It's the way we've been doing it for a long time. So, some parts, yeah, certainly we look at birds. Some parts we look at sharks, some parts we do digitally, and the whole propulsion system is related really to no animal. I don't know of any other animal that has a propeller in it.
Consider some of the Creator's design features. A bird's bones are lightweight and virtually hollow. They're supported inside by struts and honeycombed with air sacs. These lightweight bones are designed so efficiently for flight that the bird's feathers usually weigh more than its entire skeleton. Even its beak is designed to save weight, made of lightweight horn rather than heavy bone. Birds also have two strong sets of breast muscles, a large set to control the wing's downstrokes, and a smaller set to control the upstrokes. And only birds have been created with feathers. Feathers insulate the bird from the sun's heat, protect it from the cold, waterproof the body, and create wing and tail surfaces necessary for flight. Each feather is connected to a nerve and controlled by a muscle. This precision muscular control helps the bird balance in the air, steer, and brake when slowing down to land.
Well, anyone who has studied theropod dinosaurs will probably be able to spot this lie a mile off, because if you study the lineage of theropods, you will gradually see changes such as the appearance of a light bone structure, exactly the same as that in birds. We see, you know, the wishbone developing, we see the strong chest muscles growing, and even the development of feathers from a very basic principle of like a cone-shaped feather or downy feather, like we get on some chicks or on even some flightless birds like the emu. We see it going from that, and we get more advanced with the Microraptor. Just over time, you know, feathers didn't evolve so they could fly. That's not the reason feathers evolved. They evolved for other reasons. For example, courtship could be another reason. But one of the biggest contenders has to be to allow them to regulate their temperature better. Because, you know, feathers are brilliant at doing that, and they have always been brilliant at doing that. This is shown from the way that if you look at an oviraptor, you'll actually see the oviraptor is brooding their eggs, just like a modern day chicken would do today. You know, this led to confusion about the oviraptors actually being egg thieves, when they weren't egg thieves. They were actually guarding the eggs. They were the mothers. They brooded over their eggs, just like caring birds today. So, you know, we see gradual changes. We also see the changes in behavior, as mentioned, with the oviraptor. So, yeah.
Birds, they're just truly spectacularly amazing. They're well known, of course, for the feather, which is a masterpiece of strength and lightness combined in one thing. They have a little system of barbs, barbules, kind of like hooks and eyelets and Velcro, that can zipper together the little feathers that stick out from the main shaft. And they can take their bill and zipper them and unzipper them as they oil their feathers. And each feather along the length of the wing has a slightly different size and shape that's coordinated with all of the others. There's no way at all feathers could just arise by time and chance. They are marvels, masterpieces, miraculous examples of creation.
Can I just say something that I've wanted to say over all the other episodes that you have appeared in, but just haven't? Out of all the creationists in this series, you are by far the one that creeps me out the most with your chuckle. You know, it really just, it's really poor attempted mockery. But the fact is, we can see the evolution of these feathers, you know, in the features as mentioned, from downy cone shapes to more advanced, you know, the modern day feather. So, you're lying?
Another essential element to bird flight is the air-filled bags that lie between the bird's organs. The bird's air sacs are connected to its lungs, and during flight, air flows through them. This arrangement rapidly feeds the bird's body tissues with life-supporting oxygen while keeping it light in the air.
All birds are amazing. You know, they have a system of breathing that's not found in any other creature. The bird lung is a special double-tide system where you can oxygenate air both inhaling and exhaling. Unlike our lungs or the lungs of any other creature, the bird lung has back doors. And it turns out that this is important. Birds do not change the shape of their chest cavity when they breathe. You know, if you saw a bird just land from a 1,000-mile migration, just landed, would you see the chest heave as he breathed? They are stone still, no matter how hard they've been flying. You think, how do they breathe? Turns out that the air is moved through the bird much like a bellows for a fire. These airbags between the muscles, and as the bird flies, as it walks, it's moving the air. Such wonderful creatures God made in birds.
As well as such theropod dinosaurs as Allosaurs, because, you know, this is based on voids left inside the chestal cavity which match the signature of air sacs like those found in modern day birds, you know. This is known to exist. This is a discovery that's been out there for quite some time. It's not new. It was made before the creation of this mockumentary. But you guys continue to disseminate this myth that, you know, only birds have these air sacs. And, you know, it is brilliant coincidence that AronRa just happened to do a video on, how birds were not descended from pterosaurs and how you can see them from theropod dinosaurs instead. And, it just so happened that he gave the rebuttal of this very argument. And so, his videos are always brilliant. If you don't know him, which, where have you been living? But if you don't know him, link down below. You can watch his entire video. It's always brilliant. It's always fun to watch. A guy I definitely admire and aspire to, but probably will never reach. So yes, anyway, go give that a look. Certainly interesting. Again, I'll also add 2 links down below to 2 different articles on how dinosaurs such as allosaurs breathed like modern day birds. So be sure to give them a look as well.
All of these engineering marvels combine for efficient flight and show perfect foresight in the creation of birds.
Well, if you have an ignorance of the field, then certainly, but an argument that relies upon the ignorance of the audience is never a good nor reliable argument.
One of the marvels of birds is their ability to migrate long distances. The Arctic tern makes it all the way from areas near the North Pole all the way down to the South Pole and back every year. Now people can do that in an airplane, but you've perhaps looked into the cockpit of an airplane, all those switches and dials and levers and controls, and then you have to have ground control to tell the pilot where he's going, and all of that is packed into one teeny part of a bird's brain. Next time somebody calls you a bird brain, say, why, thank you.
Finally, something we actually agree on, I do concur. I believe you are far more like sheep being led along blindly and not questioning what's going on.
The Lord has equipped each bird uniquely for his role in life. In the service of man, each species of bird has a special area of patrol. Many help by controlling insects. Others remove the carcasses. The finch family is a great weed seed destroyer. The owl and the hawk keep the rodents in check. The sandpiper combs the beaches. The water bird maintains the proper balance in fish population, the heron in frog and snake control.
Actually, this is a lie, it's not a perfectly balanced system, because there will be some years where the predator population will do really well, they'll have lots of offspring, and then this often will lead to a population crash where suddenly there's not enough food, therefore that predator population dies off. This is a dynamic system. It's based upon crash, reboot, crash, reboot, crash, reboot. It's not balanced. It's not well set up or at all. It just allows for very quick evolution relatively, because these crashes mean that only the fittest and the most adaptable of the populations, both the predatory populations and, the prey, it puts them through their paces and ensures that evolution continues in this biological arm of the race, therefore allowing species to evolve at a quicker rate.
With graceful proportions, amazing aerodynamic abilities, and practical functions, each bird is a testimony to God's wisdom and love. While God provides marvelously for birds, remember that Jesus assures us that we are of more value than many sparrows.
Consider the lilies.
Don't you want to haggle?
No, in the field.
What's wrong with it then?
Nothing, take it.
Consider the lilies?
Well, the birds then.
What birds?
Any birds.
Why?
Well, have they got jobs?
Who?
The birds.
Have the birds got jobs? What's the matter with him? Says the birds are scrounging.
Oh, look, the point is, the birds, they do all right, don't they?
Well, good luck to them. Yeah, they're very pretty.
Okay, and you're much more important than they are, right? So what are you worrying about? They are, see?
I'm worrying about what you've got against birds.
I haven't got anything against the birds. Consider the lily.
He's having a go at the flowers now.
Give the flowers a chance.
I'll give you one for it.
It's yours.
I'm sorry, I just could not resist it. It just fit so damn perfectly.
The hummingbird is a marvel of agility and grace. The smallest birds, they take their name from the humming sound made by their rapid wing beats. Darting from flower to flower, the hummer poises in midair. He has come to sip sweet nectar. The hummingbird has been wonderfully designed to do this. God gave it a small body to move with ease about the flowers, a long, needle-like bill to probe deeply into the flower cup, and a specialized tongue ideal for extracting nectar. God also gave it remarkably strong wings and a sturdy breastbone, which enable the bird to stop in mid-air and even fly backwards and sideways with ease. Of course, all the hummingbird's features, long bill, special tongue, unique rapid wing beat, would have to work together from the beginning in order for it to be able to gather its energy food and thereby survive.
Why is that? You know, the ancestors could have just sat on branches and just drank the nectar that way. There is actually a video later on that you show a hummingbird doing exactly that, sitting on a branch drinking nectar out of a flower. So that could have happened, and then the wings developed because it allowed it to go to more flowers at a quicker rate. The wings could have evolved prior to the nectar-loving habits. And as for the tongue and the beak, the two things evolve together, you know. They gradually build up. As the beak gets larger, it allows for better accommodation of a larger tongue. There's no challenge here for the theory of evolution. It's not like even woodpecker level. And even that's been debunked, but at least that has some relative challenge to it.
Though the wings of most birds bend at the shoulder, elbow, and wrist, the hummingbird chiefly uses the shoulder. Like a helicopter, it can rise directly upward. The Creator's design, however, makes it possible to swivel in all directions, is much more efficient, and far more agile than any man-made flying machine.
Oh, certainly you can argue that at the moment, but here's a question for you and the hummingbirds. Where are your extraterrestrial flying hummingbirds, i.e. the ones that have made it to the moon and back? Just a quick question.
The hummer's capabilities are phenomenal. When hovering, his wings beat 50 times a second. When speeding straight away, up to 80 times. Its heart beats 21 times in the same second.
These tiny little birds have a metabolic rate that just is almost unimaginable. Their heartbeat is so fast it gets into the range of audible sound. You think of these little hummers that fly, they migrate over hundreds of miles. The reserve food to make this trip, an error of hundredths of a gram in nutrients could mean not making the trip. Birds alone would be absolute compelling evidence for a marvelous creator.
Except for the fact that every aspect of their evolution can be mapped from theropod dinosaurs to modern-day birds from the fossil evidence, i.e. the physical evidence.
The hummingbird's nest is a masterpiece of art. The female is the artist. She uses fern fuzz, dandelion seed down, and other plant felts. The exterior is adorned with lichens and fastened with spider webbing. The interior is lined with the softest down available. No one teaches her the art of nest building. It is a God-given ability.
Or it's just a biological impulse, i.e. an instinct evolved over time, going from very basic nests such as just dips in the ground with theropod dinosaurs, or being lined then, getting more and more advanced, building up sides and walls, etc. And this is just a habit that birds have taken on, they've inherited, and then they've over time made even more changes, more advancements, getting better and better, using their new beaks for weaving. Evolution can explain this thing when dealing with hundreds of millions of years.
The male hummingbird's coloring has no rival in the bird kingdom. The magnificent hummingbird, the broad-tailed, the blue-throated, and Costa's hummingbird are among the more than 300 stunning species. The iridescent colors of the throat and crown are due to refraction and not pigments. Often, these areas appear dark, almost black. But from the proper angle, the iridescent colors seem to glow from within.
Well, I'm gonna let you finish, but there are contenders out there. I mean, for me, the birds of paradise are the pinnacles. You know, the male blue bird of paradise is just glorious with his blue coat of plumage, and you know, it's on black. He's also got magnificent tail quills, and then it's also surrounded by a very fuzzy, fiery orange down around the base of the tail. You know, that's beautiful. And there's also, you know, the King of Saxony bird of paradise. It's got elongated head quills, rather. Most of the other birds of paradise have tail quills that are elongated. The Saxony bird of paradise has head quills. It's just got to be the one that's different, and it's got a lovely yellow crest, and it's got a blue mouth on the inside, so it gives off quite a colourful display.
Every aspect of these remarkable birds testifies to the Creator's gracious provision. Would we say that the hummingbird has been especially favored by the all-loving Creator? No, this genuine love is extended upon every creature. If we carefully study any creature, the Lord's glory will always beam forth.
What, including the parasites that kill millions of people and animals every year, including many children, as they bore their way through your internal organs and, you know, the flesh, etc. Are you going to take credit for them as well? Because so far you don't seem to be taking a very balanced view of nature. You only acknowledge the beautiful things, and you fail to acknowledge the it's boring through my fucking eye things. So there's that. Also, one bird that I find really ironic coming from you guys claiming that God created every bird, you know, individually, etc. The cuckoo bird is practically an abortion bird. Literally, it flies to another bird's nest, gets the eggs, throws the eggs out, lays its own eggs. It's an abortion bird. You believe your God created a bird that specializes in the abortion of other birds. I find that hilarious, that very concept. So yes, that's the episode of God of Wonders done, and of course, the end of birds. So what's next week? Apparently it's butterflies.